How are you?
I'm great.
You look
Thank you.
so
How are
good.
you?
How is it that you just
Sorry?
how is it that you get more gorgeous? It's kind of unfair to everyone.
Oh, well, guess what? You're wearing glasses and I've got really good lighting. So thank you.
Well,
Those things together, good mix.
thank you for I'm happy to see you no matter what. I'm always just happy to see you. And I did luckily get to see you in person not that long ago, a few months ago. But tell me how you guys are experiencing this. How are you and John, your super, super cool, handsome husband? How are you guys? What's your experience been like? Because not to answer for you, but I have a strange feeling that it's not that radically different than normal for you guys, right?
Well, it's radically different from normal in that we've never been in one place for this long at one time, we believe, because when we got together, we decided that I would travel with John and he would travel with me. So therefore it was nonstop. You understand that, Light?
Yep.
So it was like that. So this is actually a blessing. You know, I know that for a lot of people, this is a terrible, awful time. And I feel extremely grateful that I'm in a place away from a city and that I get to be at home and learn to make bread and all these things I've never done before.
Doing the same thing that everybody else is doing.
I'm enjoying it. Pardon?
You're doing the same thing that everybody's making bread.
I know, it's funny, isn't it? It's a very basic instinct, I think. You know, unleavened bread. We need to know how to make it.
There is that. I mean, I'm not making bread. I mean, Daisy's cooking up a storm, but I'm baking like vegan scones and vegan cookies.
Wow.
And I'm not a kid.
Wow.
I don't normally do that stuff at all. But you know what it is? It's very meditative. It's very calming.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I like it a lot. Yeah.
But are you?
I made a sourdough. Where am I? I am in California.
Yeah.
And beautiful. Is that what you said? Where are you?
No, but I was going to ask you that anyway.
Where are you?
We're in Malibu. We're in Malibu.
Okay, great.
I was going to ask you.
Perfect.
If you still, I mean, you sort of live on a farm / ranch. So there's a lot to do every day when you're home anyway, right?
Yes, well, I can't say that I do everything because there's no way I could, but I love pruning. I have the roses have just come out at the moment, and I'm just in heaven because the roses are so beautiful and such a beautiful promise of things to come. So I've been working in the garden, and we have 2 little miniature horses, and we have at the moment only 9 hens. We just lost a couple, very sadly, and so I love taking care of them as well.
I saw a video of you not that long ago in the last couple of days, and I think you were cleaning up miniature horse manure. Is that correct?
I was.
You'd have told me.
You know, talk about meditating. I don't know what prompted me to do that, but I did that video and I sent it to a friend and they said, you have to post that because it's hilarious. So I did. The intention was to show one of my friends who loves.
We now, you know, for the rest of time, we have the physical video with you and we have the video of you cleaning up miniature horse manure. So I think we've kind of covered, you've got it all covered.
Covered the spectrum.
One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, because we've known each other for a long time, we've been friends, blessed for me to have been friends with you for such a long time. But in thinking about our conversation today, I thought of something I've never talked to you about or asked you about. And the preface of the question is, I remember, and this had to have been 1983 or 84. I remember that you were one of the first people I ever knew who was very outspokenly an environmentalist. I remember you were all about things being sustainable. I remember when I first became friendly with you, you were on a macrobiotic diet, which I'd never heard of before that. And if anybody that researches you and knows your history with environmentalism, with animal rights, you canceled a tour, I think in the late 70s in Japan because you were sort of boycotting the killing of dolphins in the tuna industry. And this is like way before it became a fashionable thing to do. And my question is, having known you all these years and knowing you to be such a fighter for the voiceless, you know, speaking for the voiceless, etc. What prompted that? Did you know someone? Did you have a role model who sort of made you become aware of these things? How did it happen that you became so passionate about these things?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I think I just have always loved animals, and I would be really moved by something, and dolphins particularly at that time. I really don't. I think it's my parents. I think my parents were very conscious of the planet, and when I was a very young girl, my brother was married to a woman who was a teacher, and she would tutor me because I wasn't terribly good at school, and she once talked to me about the importance of the rainforest and how we needed to keep the forest. I was really, really young. I had really no idea at that time. This is way, way before it became talked about also.
Right.
So I think those things were imprinted. My mother was always very talked about the planet and pollution and all these things. So I think it was probably just in there. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like you sort of dipped a toe in that water. You have really walked the walk for as long as I've known you, and like consistently, and you seem to sort of, you're also somebody who always says yes to being part of charities and projects that benefit so many other people. And I do understand that when we've been as blessed in our lives in the ways that we have, there is a sort of intrinsic desire, if not need, to give back and to help people, you know, because we've been so fortunate in so many different ways. But it's really, I've always wondered if there was sort of like one pivotal person or moment in your life. So I guess it was just the rhetoric that you grew up around.
I think it was my parents. You know, I need to really think about that and call you back, because I haven't, you know, thought of it. I met people since, of course, like Margaret Owings, who is an amazing woman, who I always said, you know, I want to be you when I grow up, and I'm almost her age now, so I've made it. But she was an amazing woman. She took the bounty off the heads of the wildcats up in Big Sur Way, and she protected the seals and the sea otters. And I went to a meeting with her once to, it was a big discussion about the fact that the Army and the Navy rather were using sound under the ocean.
Yeah,
and
sonar,
really incredibly, as sonar, and it was damaging whales, and that's why they were beaching, and it was horrendous. So she wasn't feeling well, and she asked me would I please stand up and talk about it, and I'd never done anything like that before. But she was an amazing woman. I was very pleased to have met her.
Because you were friendly. I mean, I know you worked with John Denver, but were you friendly with him as well? Because he was one of those people too at a time when
he was.
He really outspoken.
He really was. Yes, he was, and I'm sure that all these things I took from them and understood them. And John was a lovely, lovely guy, and very caring, and wrote about the country he loved. And he walked the walk. He started the Institute, which is still going really well.
Yeah. How's your, you have this pretty amazing cancer wellness retreat. It's a center. It's a treatment center, right? In Australia?
It's a cancer center that's part of a big Austin Health, which is a very big hospital. And they asked me, and I'm very grateful to have been asked to lend my name to a cancer center that is part of this Austin Health. So it's the ONJ Center, and I have a wellness center there where all the things that I was able to do for myself when I went through cancer in '92, I was able to bring to this hospital. Because when they asked me if I would lend my name to a cancer center, I said, do I really want to have my name with cancer next to it? That's not very positive. But if we open a wellness center there, and it's cancer and wellness, that gives you hope. So it's all there, and it's beautiful. I'm extremely proud of the hospital, the center, all that they do there. And about a year ago, I was actually, sorry?
No, sorry. I'll ask you in a second. Go ahead.
Okay, so this ties into it, what I'm about to say. I'm sorry, I'm being a bit long-winded, but let me tell you the story. A year and a half ago, I was actually a visitor or a patient in my own center because I had a reoccurrence and I fractured my sacrum. Anyway, I ended up in there, and it was the most amazing experience to be in this place that I dreamed of, that patients could have wellness programs, like the art therapist lady would come to my room and we'd paint, and it was really like a therapy session really, as well as painting. And someone would come and play me music, or if I wanted to, they would come play me music, and someone could come and massage your feet. I mean, these things that we then started off in the center, which is at the bottom floor, are now going up into the ward. So I'm extremely thrilled that we have state-of-the-art Western treatment, but we also have these wellness programs that help the mind, which is, of course, the most important organ that we have.
Of course. And don't you find in your experience with illness as well as life in general, and this is a conversation that I find endlessly fascinating, but talk to me about how powerful you believe this is in terms of physical health, what you think, and choosing your thoughts wisely or unwisely. Oh no!
Be careful what you think, because your body's listening.
Yeah.
And I think that really sums it up. And you have to sometimes really pay attention to a thought and dismiss it, or replace it with something positive, because your mind is your. You know, someone the other day was talking to me about how important is diet, and what you put in your mind as what you put in your body, because it's all connected. And you know, I when I first had breast cancer in '92, someone gave me Louise Hay, and she's become my go-to person ever since. I mean, there's lots of people who are now wonderful, but she was the mother. Have you read her books?
Well, Daisy is a devotee. She listens to her lectures and is sort of an authority on Louise at this point. Oh, you're freezing. You're breaking up.
Oh, well, I want to tell you a beautiful story about that then. Anyway, hello. It's where we live, unfortunately, so I'm hoping it comes back.
Okay, we're getting enough.
Come back?
Tell me the story. Yeah, you're back.
Okay, I'm sorry. Where am I? Okay, so she believed that the mind-body connection, and the Chinese also believe that different organs represent different emotions. So lungs is grief, and kidneys is, liver is anger, and you know, all these different things that, and it totally makes sense to me. And so I loved her philosophies and what she stood for. And I'm very grateful to say that I have a little bit of her ashes, and I planted a tree in her honor at my spa in Australia.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you ended up having a friendship with her?
No, I wouldn't say a friendship. I met her several times. I was just very,
yeah.
I respect her greatly for what she brought.
Absolutely.
And, everybody after her.
If you haven't read her books or listened to her lectures, she was remarkable. Yeah, I'm sorry we're having I'm sure you're dealing with this all the time, because you're kind of you're beautifully remote, so our connection's not great, but.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry. You look good.
That's because you just seem to
You look good. I'm sorry that. Well, I'm sorry about this connection.
I'm sporting I'm somewhere between Beach Boy hair, like the sort of like funky beach guy hair, and Flock of Seagulls very soon. So I'm scared.
So Daisy, get out the kitchen scissors.
Yeah, she will indeed.
I cut my own hair the other day, actually. I love doing it.
You did?
Yeah.
Are you cutting John's hair too?
That's fine. I'm going to do his hair actually in the next couple of days, so I'll tell you after that.
Yeah, I want to.
I'll let him tell you. He's still speaking to me after that.
Text me pictures. And how's Chloe?
Chloe's wonderful. She's in Portland, Oregon, where she lives with her fiance, and her dad, Matt, is up there.
Yeah.
So she has a lot of Latanzis up there. And she just was in Dancing with the Stars in Australia, and she was so phenomenal. I was so blown away by her performance. She was fantastic.
Yeah.
Proud mama.
I'm not going to keep you too much longer because I know you have stuff to do, but one of the other things that I thought about today in thinking about our conversation is I was sort of doing a quick, I mean, I'm pretty, pretty educated about you and your career, even separate and apart from the fact that I adore you personally. But I was sort of refreshing my memory about what you've accomplished in your career and how long a career you've had and the many albums you've made and 100 million albums and hugely successful films, and you've toured your entire career and you've done all these amazing charity projects. And what struck me, and I really want you to correct me if I'm wrong, when I was looking at what you've accomplished in your career and then thinking about the person that I have had a friendship with all these years, you've never struck me as being a particularly go-getter, methodical, ambitious person. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I'll tell you a funny story about that. When I was a young girl and I was in London and I was talking to somebody I knew vaguely about going to England, because my Pat Farrow, who we were a double act working, and he said, "You're really ambitious." And I burst into tears, because in those days that was like an insult for a woman to have ambition, right?
Yeah.
So I think at the back of my mind, I knew I wanted to do it, but it was never like, I've got to be a star or any of that. I just loved what I did and I had fun and I did it. And I think I'm very grateful I was in the right place at the right time. I had amazing John Farrar as my writer, producer, and then I met Alan Carr. And, it was just like, I feel I've had many, many gifts and I'm very fortunate.
So do you think you were just open? You just were sort of like, yeah, I would do that movie, or yeah, that sounds fun, or so it didn't.
Yeah, I say yes to life.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Mainly.
Yeah. And speaking of saying yes to life.
And I almost, Sorry?
Sorry, go ahead.
The two things that I was afraid of or that I almost didn't do were two of my biggest successes. Physical, that I almost had my manager pull off the shelf because I was so freaked out, and Greece. So it just shows you, it's another way of saying, sometimes you got to challenge yourself to do things that you're afraid of. And you never know what the outcome will be. There's no guarantee it'll work the other way. But
yeah, the comfort zone is not a place you can always stay. And luckily for all of us,
a lot of failures too, but you don't hear about the failures. So exactly.
Of course not. So one thing, but I want, before I let you go, is what do you miss? What are some of the things that when we start to get back to whatever normal is and whenever that is? I know for me, it's because something so simple as, my sons are around me, but I haven't hugged my sons in 7 weeks. I miss hugging my son. What about you? Like, what are the
I miss hugging. Yes, me too. I want to hug my daughter, and she came on the way back from Australia. They came by and they stayed about 10 feet away, and I hadn't seen her, and I so wanted to hug her. So I know that feeling. But Richard, I feel there's a lot of wonderful things are happening as well. The earth is getting a chance to breathe and restore, and I hear that there are birds in Hyde Park they've never heard before because there's silence, and the skies are clear in Wuhan and all that. I know you've read all these beautiful things going around, but I do believe good will come of it in the end. I do. I know this awful tragedy, but I do believe in a balance and that the good will come of it. Maybe we will be kinder going forward, which would be wonderful.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, like you said in the beginning of this, we are fortunate that we're going through this in the way that we are, and that we're with people that we love.
So lucky.
And we have an amazing support system, and we're going through this differently than a lot of other people are. But I do encourage everyone I talk to try to see the silver linings in this in any way you can. So I would expect nothing less. I would expect nothing less than that answer from you. I'm going to let you go. As I've told you many times, you are just such a quality human being, and I'm so proud to have known you and to know you. And I'm really looking forward to giving you a big hug when this whole thing's over.
Thank you. And I'll give you a check for saying those nice things. So thank you, Richard.
I think PayPal.
Thank you. Give my love to Daisy and the family, and take care of yourself. Okay. Thank you.
Sweetheart.
Nice talking to you.